down the rabbit hole of rock and roll's past, present, and future. It's Barstool Rockers with your hosts, Jim Finn and Dan Michaels.
I still say it's Ocasek.
I know for a fact it is Ocasek.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
So it's kind of annoying when you hear everybody, and I watch, I'll be proven wrong by the Ocasek family, and they'll say, no, it's Ocasek, but
nonetheless,
it's one of those names that has been debated for years.
Yeah.
Never really knew how to pronounce it.
Exactly.
But I go with Ocasek.
Okay.
You go with Ocasek.
Let's call the whole thing off. There you go.
You say Ocasek, I say, and we shouldn't even be joking about this because we lost another great artist to the world of rock and roll.
And that was a week ago. But man, it just we haven't had a chance to sit down and talk about it much. And it's just we've been going in different directions here. And it just hit us. Losing Eddie Money on Friday and then Rick on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And, they talk about these things always coming in threes. And then we hear about Alex Trebek going back in for more chemo. And we have the whole story with Dave Mustaine. Now, he says he's doing better, correct?
Yes. As far as we know now, he says that, outlook is good for him.
So that's a
It is treatable. So, much different than where Eddie Money was at that stage of the game.
Yeah, when he was diagnosed with stage 4.
Right. Which is...
And that's the, folks, go to your doctor.
Oh, man, yeah.
And that's even a lesson I got to learn.
Early diagnosis.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. And that's what Rod Stewart said.
Uh-huh.
He said his got caught early. And he had...
prostate cancer?
Yes, that's it. And he was dealing with it for 2 or 3 years and just announced it early last week. So
that's what my father died of, was prostate cancer. So, early diagnosis, that is the way to go. Go to your doctor, get your checkups, do the whole kit and caboodle. Because what was the official cause of death for Rick?
There was some heart-related
disease, right?
And emphysema, I believe.
Yeah. And, going back to, because Eddie Money, heavy hitter. I mean, back in the late 70s, we talked about this in the last episode, just one of those iconic rock and rollers.
Exactly.
And then the following week, to have Rick Ocasek taken from us, wow, the Cars, if you remember that meteoric rise to success that they had, that first album dropped and bam, they were off.
They were the flavor of the day.
Yeah, Candy-O was the huge follow-up to it. And then Panorama came out, and they were still at the top of their game. They were just massive.
They were another one of those bands that really benefited from the early days of MTV.
Yeah,
they were. They did the visual well. It was always quirky. It was always kind of unique, but it was really cool.
Right around the pocket of Heartbeat City, I think that was when MTV had latched onto them with the videos for You Might Think and Hello Again. And an awesome video for Drive.
Yeah, that was an awesome one. And that was where Paulina came into the picture for Rick. So,
So
very cool.
Hopefully Rick is up there in rock and roll heaven with his former bandmate, Benjamin Orr.
And they're hanging out with the Righteous Brothers doing a little singing.
Exactly. Wouldn't that be a show to see?
There you go.
And one day, maybe we will.
They got a hell of a band.
But yes, prognosis pretty good for Dave Mustaine, and we get to talk with his Megadeth band member, co-band member, Dave Ellefson.
Hey, Jim. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. You've been busy with this book tour. You just released your memoirs, More Life With Deth, and you just released a companion album to go along with it, Sleeping Giants, which I'm really digging. So that's cool. You were in St. Paul last night?
I was, yes. We were just over at the Turf Club in St. Paul. Cool place. It's owned or operated by the First Avenue venue, and which is cool. But I remember playing, of course, First Avenue was probably made famous by Prince and the Purple Rain movie, and his history in Minneapolis. But it was a place that we played First Avenue on the Peace Elves tour with Megadeth. I think we played there a couple times over the years, and wasn't really hometown for me because I grew up on a farm in a little town called Jackson, Minnesota, about 3 hours south Minneapolis. But last night was St. Paul. Tonight we're in Mankato, Minnesota. So this is all kind of, hometown, home state, if you will.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back with the home peeps here.
Now, this isn't your run-of-the-mill book tour either, because after you do the way I understand it anyway, after you do a Q&A session, you play a full set with the band, right?
Yeah, and this bass story platform that we created last year, while Megadeth was off the road, we're working on a new album, and it was just really kind of a cool way to go out and do anything that could be a clinic to sort of a spoken word Q&A storyteller thing, all the way up to what it's become now, which is basically the Sleeping Giants concert. We have several bands from our EMP and Combat Records roster as our support acts on the tour, so it's sort of a Combat Records tour, if you will. And then when we come out, we don't really do the Q&A now before the performance. On this one, it's really more of a full-blown rock concert, and I do a little storytelling in between some of the songs on the tour. So every one of these bass story tours have been different, and this Sleeping Giants version is really, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to get up on stage and have a real full band. There's 5 of us up there, and we just go up and kick ass every night.
Yeah. Now, the Sleeping Giants album, it's got some newer stuff on it, and then you also dug through the archives to come up with some gems for us on this one. There's a lot of guests on the album, including John Bush of Armored Saints and ex-Anthrax member. Who are some of the other guest musicians on the album?
Eric A.K. from Flotsam and Jetsam, and also David Glenn Isley, the Mouse Lord, sang on a few of the tracks as well.
And on Hammer Comes Down, it's got one of your former Megadeth bandmates on it.
Yeah, Chris Poland was kind enough to lend us a solo, as well as Mark Tremonti from Alter Bridge. He's been a big Megadeth fan. It was fun to have him be part of it, too.
What was it like to reconnect with Chris?
Chris and I have remained friends over the years, and with the recent passing of Nick Menza, for another former Megadeth member, he was in Chris's band, Ohm, when he passed away on stage at the Baked Potato in Los Angeles, and Chris and I, we've been connected very well over the years. Even after he departed from Megadeth, we're both sober guys, so we keep a kind of a similar lifestyle, and just great to connect musically with him again and have him play on a record of mine right now.
Well, while we're on the topic of Megadeth, can you give us an update on how Dave Mustaine is doing?
Yeah, Dave is doing well. It's obviously a bit of a physically taxing journey, to go through the treatments. But like you said in his announcement, it's something that needs to be, met head first and headlong, and so he's doing that now, and I think having the Megadeth album in front of us to be working on is actually good for Dave. I think he's a creative guy. Creativity strikes us all at different times, and I think when you go through this type of season in your life, I think for all of us in the band and for Dave, it's cool that we also have a new creative endeavor with the new Megadeth album to be working on. It's kind of something to always be looking forward to.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the book, More Life With Deth. What was it that made you decide now was the time to write this?
It's funny that I'm in the Midwest, literally this week, and we did what we called the Midwest Coffee Tour, promoting the Ellefson coffee and doing some in-store appearances, Sioux Falls, Mankato, up in Minneapolis, and that was March of 2018, so literally about a year ago. And it was on that trip that inspired writing this new book. And there were so many things that have happened since I came back into Megadeth in 2010. Between the Big Four shows, winning a Grammy, all these new entrepreneurial adventures that I've been on. And it just really kind of seemed like, you know what? I know the last book just came out about 5 years ago, but it just seemed like the time to write the follow-up. And that trip spawned the idea. And, you know, quite honestly, the book kind of wrote itself in about a week. And then, of course, it takes another few months to get some of the collaborators, because I wanted a lot of my friends and other people who were there with me on the journey. I wanted them to weigh in on the story. People like Jay Reynolds, my really childhood friends, as well as some other professional contemporaries of mine, like Dan Donegan of Disturbed, KK Downing from Judas Priest. You know, people who were there on the journey with me. And KK's book just came out, and it was a really, really great read. As me as a Judas Priest fan, it was fun to read that story of his. So, you know, just kind of like the Sleeping Giants album being a collaborative endeavor, it was fun to make More Life With Deth also a collaborative endeavor.
Want to make sure we invite everybody to check out David Ellefson's website, davidellefson.com. There you can find out more about the Sleeping Giants album. Dave, I met you a few years ago at Rockfest here in our backyard in Cadott, and you were very kind. You came down. We chatted for a little while. Megadeth was playing that night. I got to ask you, because I know you're a busy guy and you got stuff you got to do. All right, so if I were to order some of the Ellefson coffee, which blend would you recommend?
You know, my favorite is still our original roast and peace.
Roast and peace, okay.
Dark roast. It's not too dark, but it's good. It's a good dark, gives you a good punch. I still like the name, and it's our flagship roast. So I'd say go with that one. But we also have a lot of great artist roasts. You know, Eddie Ojeda from Twisted Sister, we just rolled out a coffee for him. He also has a really good roast. It's a dark roast. And Skid Row, Slave to the Grind. I mean, some of these you know, artists, you know, I guess probably myself included with Roast and Peace, we ironically have album titles that kind of set themselves up very well to be coffee roasts.
Yeah.
Who would know?
Very good, sir. I will take your recommendations. Thanks for chatting with us today. I really enjoy the new album,
Jim.
Sleeping Giants, and good luck with the rest of the tour, all right?
Thanks so much. See you, man.
I'm so disappointed in you. You didn't bring up our friend Kush.
I know.
Our former coworker at the radio station.
Actually, you had informed me about that. I didn't know about that.
Oh, I didn't tell you early enough?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
They're buddies from high school. So
That is incredible.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a small world in the rock and roll thing. So
So one of our former co-workers went to high school with
Dave
Mr.
Ellefson.
Ellefson. Yeah.
so it's very, very cool.
Well, he's a down-to-earth guy, another one of those cool guys to talk to. And this is the second time I've been able to chat with him. And the second person on Barstool Rockers that I've talked about coffee and caffeine with.
And Jesse Cullen Young and then Dave Ellefson. So it must be, it's a theme for you. When are we going to have the Finn coffee, the Finn flavor?
Maybe we'll have to do that. We'll have to fire that up, start brewing that
We'll
up.
get one of the local brewers to do something like that. You know, there are a couple coffee places in town that do their own blends.
That's a good idea.
Who knows?
We'll do that. The Barstool Rockers blend.
The Finn flavor.
There you go.
Finn flavor blend. Well, if you enjoy what we do on this podcast and you like coffee, hey, it's called Barstool Rockers. Just go to barstoolrockers.com. You can email us. It's barstoolrockers@gmail.com. We got a Facebook page, too. That's Barstool Rockers. And, please consider giving us a favorable rating and subscribing at iTunes, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you're listening to us right now. Every positive review helps us get new listeners. I don't know what the negatives do. We probably have a lot of them. I don't look at them. I just try not to.
The thumbs down.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't look at the ratings. It never works.
There's always one.
Oh, yeah. It's probably somebody I know, too. By the way, if you know of somebody who may enjoy what we're doing, please share this episode with them. And we do want to thank our friends Joe Kelly, who is our big voice guy at the beginning, and, of course, our very dear friend, Anastasia Vishnevsky, who creates our music. We do want to thank you, too, for listening.
Until next time.
And now, for the moment you've been waiting for.